This conference will now be recorded.
All right, we do have quorum.
Very good. Well, thank everyone for joining us today on Tuesday, July 12th, 2022. At this time, I'd like to welcome those that are online and those that are joining us in person. We do have a quorum, so I'll call the meeting to order at this time, and we'll move on to regular business. First item on regular business is approve the July 12th, 2022 agenda. I move that we approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Becky Tuttle. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item is the approval of the meeting minutes for June 14th, 2022. Move to approve.
Second.
We have a second by Becky Tuttle. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is director's report. I'll turn it over to Chad. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, members of the Transportation Planning Body. We have a few items for the staff to report to you today because there are several items we would like to move as quickly as we can. The first item is an overview. Because there are several items, we would like to give a context on where does all these items fit in. So next item, I'll go to I think next slide is the long-range transportation planning has several appendix reports, and staff is working on various of these reports. This year, we would also have environmental, as well as all the lists here, plus the economic development that we all are discussing. You know, last year we had communities presenting their growth patterns, and this year we have a theme of economic development. These are helping a lot in building collaboration and partnerships within jurisdictions at WAMPO. And these are, staff believes these are really the seeds sown for the partnership and collaboration growth in the future as well, in addition to making simple appendix report. So we are very pleased to work with your leadership in this initiative as well. So let me go to the next slide. Thank you, Ashley. Now, among the items that are here, the critical urban freight corridors is an item that Nick Ashley would like to present for you. Thank you.
Thank you. The critical urban freight corridors, this is just an update to you all so you know what you'll be receiving next month. KDOT has asked MPO staff to recommend existing roads to be designated as part of the critical urban freight corridor. And once they become part of that, then they're part of the National Highway Freight Network. And once projects are on the National Highway Freight Program network, then they're eligible for specific funding for improving freight corridors. KDOT may designate up to 300 miles of critical rural freight corridors and 150 of urban. And we talked about this at TAC, and so I'll just quickly go through this. This is in your packet as well. And like I said, we'll be coming back to you next month with a lot more detail. In your packet on page 10, we have a list of the corridors that are current CUFCs from 2017-2018. And then there's also a list of the corridors that we're recommending for inclusion this year. Following the TAC meeting, we asked jurisdictions to provide input on what corridors should be included in this yesterday. So we are reviewing the input, and we'll be having an updated list for TAC at the next meeting, and then for you all as well. So that's for the critical urban freight corridor.
Great, thank you, Ashley. The next items in your packet, in the list of reporting today is TIP and MTP, public comment period, and WAMPO safety plan and UPWP. The 6-month UPWP activity report is something that the auditors have recommended that every quarter staff report to the board on the accomplishments of the transportation planning task that is programmed in UPWP. So that's attached in your packet as well. And rest of the couple items on the slide, Ashley would help report to you. Thank you.
Thank you. The Federal Fiscal Year 23 to 26 Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP, and the MTP Amendment 2 are in a joint public comment period right now. It was started on June 15th and will be ending very soon on July 15th. We've only received one comment so far, and it was for the TIP, and it was actually from the city of Andover needing to make a change to one of their projects. We held an open house on June 29th, and it went really well. We had 10 people show up, and most of the interactions were educational, informing people about what WAMPO is and what we do. And then the WAMPO safety plan, we are finishing up a scope of work right now for a comprehensive safety action plan request for proposals. And once we go through the whole planning process, the end result will be a comprehensive safety action plan that will be eligible for the Safe Streets and Roads for All implementation grants. So we're wanting to go through this planning process, so then we're eligible for the implementation grants next year. And that's all. Thank you.
The next item, I think, is bike pit count. I think Dora, Ashley, both of you. Thank you, Dora.
Thank you. I just want to remind everyone that we're still looking for volunteers for the bike and ped count. It is in September. We have 3 different dates, the 21st, 22nd, and the 24th. We have 3 different times during the day. During the week, we have 10 to noon, and then 5 to 7, and then on the weekend, we have noon to 2. You can sign up. Volunteers can be, there's a QR code, which is super easy. You scan with your phone, or you can go online, and it's a super quick form you can fill out. And then this data helps us collect it helps us collect for the data that we use to plan for locations for future bicycle and pedestrian investments. And we track our runners, our cyclists, and our pedestrians that just walk all along our paths and through our different jurisdictions. Thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. The next item staff would like to report to you is the Kansas Freight Plan. Before we go to Kansas Freight Plan, I would like to recognize Mike Moriarty and John Maddox, their leadership, and their team had been great in initiating a statewide freight plan. Staff participated in contributing to this as a committee member in Topeka. So I just want to summarize the discussions we had at that meeting so that board members here are aware of what's going on. So there's in your packet and the email that's sent out for the packet, there's a link to the statewide rail plan. This rail plan has both passenger rail plan as well as the component of goods movement as well, both passenger and goods, people and goods, that's what transportation is. And then this particular rail plan statewide has those 2 components. And then I had included some excerpts and pages from that plan into this packet. So I think our South Central Kansas Transportation Council at Chamber of Commerce had been very active. And then our Commissioner Pete Meitner was also very involved in the Amtrak connection between Newton and Oklahoma, so Kansas and Oklahoma. John Maddox with KDOT is very involved in collaborating with between the states of Oklahoma and Kansas Department of Transportation. So just wanted to share this, the leadership, John Maddox, and also many of you like commissioners and many of you are in this as well. So it's an opportunity for public input, and there's a map in your packets also on page 39 showing the Amtrak routes as well. it's an opportunity to provide this input that, we are also interested in this connection as well. So that's just a summary on that. And there are many good data that's included in the packet in terms of what type of goods are moving, how are grains developed in Kansas, like wheat, soybean, and corn. All these data is also in your packet. So it's a wealth of information that we put together for you. And if you have an opportunity for public input, we want to encourage that as well. Now, let me go back to the statewide freight plan. So on the next slide, and thanks to Mike Moriarty and John Maddox for your leadership on the statewide freight plan. And I was updating the board on, the general timeline, what happened in June. In June, we had freight trends, and then freight profile is just the commodities that move within Kansas, what type of commodities are moving. And really, the consulting firm did a good job in diving deeper onto the data in terms of commodities, in terms of traffic volumes that move in the state. And it's becoming important because even Rick Backlund at the FHWA also recognized how important freight is becoming, primarily after the pandemic. Even when public is not using transportation system, even when somebody uses bike ped, they always need goods, and goods are always delivered through freight. So thus the transportation system and freight became an important topic. So I want to share with you the next upcoming schedule on August and October, which is the freight needs assessment and opportunities will be developed in August. And then we'll update you at that time what we learned. And then in October, there'll be a freight plan development as well. Thanks so much. And the next slide, we have a summary of a snapshot of what commodities, top 10 commodities that are moving in the state. All these are in your packets. And then furthermore, there was an analysis on what are the key criteria for the corridors, freight corridors within the state. They are based on the volumes and the percentage of traffic as well. So that's another, for example, the existing corridors did not have the State Route 50 before. Now it's included. So towards from west of Wichita and Newton, so that corridor. So stuff like that, what corridors are incorporated and included in this is a good input that if we think, hey, there is a corridor that we're missing, that would be something staff would like to take to the study team and then provide that input. So that's the primary reason the staff is interested and then to share with you today. So let me go to the next slide. This is just the October 2022. There's going to be draft statewide freight plan. Okay, so that's all on the freight. And any questions before I pause and go to the travel demand model? Okay.
What is the significance of designating a route as a critical urban freight corridor? Particularly, does it affect future improvements on it, funding? What does it do when it's designated?
So Ashley had explained a minute ago the purpose of designating this. Would you mind saying one more time, Ashley?
Yes, I can. There's specific funding available, and so once you're part of the National Highway Freight Network, then you're eligible for that funding if the project is helping move freight.
Part of my question was whether it restricts changes to the road or affects plans for the road.
Oh, I am not aware of any. It looks like Mike is
I would say the short answer is no.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So next slide we can go. Staff also would like to report to you, the travel demand model RFP that staff is working in conjunction with KDOT staff. We want to thank Matt Messina and Mike Moriarty's team. They have been great in working through how we comply with the procurement procedures, particularly depending on the funding type that we use. For example, this project uses CRISA funds, so we want to make sure we comply with all the procurement procedures. So we completed that coordination with Allison. Allison had been great at KDOT as well with Matt Messina, and staff worked with Allison in developing this. So now we have issued the RFP out and it's on our website, and then we are waiting for consulting firms to submit their proposals. We have a tentative schedule on this screen. That is, selection committee will meet in July and August, and then a selection process take place, and then staff will come to you presenting the selected, and then the contract eventually perhaps by September, a TPB meeting. We will work through those and then we'll report to you back again. So that's just a status on this item. Let me go to next item. This item has our Federal Highway Administration partner Rick Backlund had sent us a link. It's the link that I shared with members of this body that has a US dot navigator that has good information on the bipartisan infrastructure law and the grants and technical assistance program, and just learning about this funding opportunities there. So just an informational item. On that note, we also have tomorrow and day after KDOT leading this summit on infrastructure. Primarily the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, called IIJA, enacted as a bipartisan infrastructure law. So 2 days of wealth of information on what are the impacts of this and how funding levels are changing and all those stuff. So just a reminder, if you have already registered, this is a 2 days. 2 days is a long time, but still it's an opportunity. So that's that. And then today we have one action item that's Title VI Unlimited English Proficiency. Ashley will be presenting on that. So thank you, Ashley. That's all on the director's report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, thank you. Our staff has been very busy, as you can tell from the director's report during the last month, and there's a lot of things coming up. And I hope everyone in this room has had an opportunity to sign up for the meetings the next 2 days. They're going to be very valuable. So I hope to see everyone out there. Normally our commission meetings are at Wednesday morning, so we're going to start our commission meeting tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Well, if anyone is interested in Sedgwick County Commission, we're going to start very early. We're stopping hard at 9:30 tomorrow, even if we're not finished, so that we can all attend the infrastructure meeting. And if we don't finish up the board meeting tomorrow morning, we'll just recess it tomorrow, and we'll continue Friday. So this is important enough that we're making a lot of changes just in our county commission meetings. And so I just wanted to make sure that anyone that follows our county commission meetings knows that we will conduct it. It's just going to be kind of spread out because of that. Anyway, thanks, Chad, for the report. Do we have any questions on the director's report? Because there was a lot of information provided. I don't see anything. So the next item on the agenda is public comments. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak during public comments today?
It looks like we have no online comments, but we did have one come through our email this morning. This is from Jane Burns, and her comment is, as you consider funding travel, please embrace the non-car transportation needs of 1/3 of residents in our area, such as young teens, seniors, low income, disabled, school children, baby strollers, bicycles, pedestrians, scooterists, and electric skateboards, bus and train riders. Most especially consider that many do not necessarily prefer cars, including the young talent our area needs to attract and retain, and big city trendy folks. Additionally, note that Dangerous by Design 2022, the national report released just this morning, gives the statistic that the Wichita metro area averaged 1.28 average pedestrian deaths per 100,000 people per year, 2016 to 2020. Thank you so much, and that is the end of her comment.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Are there any other comments in the room or online? But seeing none, move to receive and file.
Second.
We have a second by Becky Tuttle. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is new business. The first item, item A, is action on Title VI Program Manual Limited English Proficiency Plan. So I'll turn it over to Chad.
Ashley, thank you.
Thank you. The Title VI and Limited English Proficiency, or LEP, apply to us because we receive federal funding. And so this is a federally required document, or two documents that we are doing. Title VI is all about preventing discrimination and providing access to our processes. Our last Title VI plan was completed in 2015. And limited English proficiency is about providing access to people who are not proficient in English. And that plan was also approved in 2015. So now I will actually turn it over to Dora and Marcella, and they will talk about the two different plans.
Thank you, Ashley. So the program and purpose of the Title VI, so WAMPO has a commitment to ensure that people are aware of the Title VI provisions and their responsibilities associated with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The Title VI needs to be submitted to the Title VI program every 3 years to ensure compliance. The notice and complaint procedures. So the notice lets the members of the public know their protections against discrimination, and it's afforded to them by the Title VI. The Title VI notice of the agency must be on the website, so it'll be on the WAMPO's website in any public areas or offices, including reception desks, meeting rooms, etc. To file a complaint, there's a form people can fill out, and then WAMPO must keep track of all the complaints. WAMPO vital documents. Some of the documents include the Title VI notice to the public, the Title VI complaint form, your rights under the Title VI brochure, and the WAMPO Citizens Guide, which is also available in Spanish and Vietnamese. Minority representation on decision-making bodies. So you can see this, WAMPO's transit-related non-elected bodies include TPB, TAC, Executive Committee, and so on. And the Title VI requires a table showing the membership of the committees and councils broken down by race. I don't know if you guys remember, but we sent out a survey not too long ago asking for a contribution on this. Region demographics. The Title VI requires a demographic profile on the metropolitan area, and also demographic maps that show the impacts of distribution of state and federal funds and the aggregator for the public transportation projects. And then here's just a map that shows the percentage of minority population by the census tract. And every dot represents 100 people. Thank you, and I'll pass it on to Marcella.
Thank you. My name is Marcela Quintanilla, and I'm a GIS and data analyst here at WAMPO, and I'll be working in updating the Limited English Proficiency Plan. The Limited English Proficiency Plan includes the U.S. Department of Transportation recommendation of the 4-factor analysis, and these 4 factors are the number of proportion of LEP persons served, the frequency of contacts with LEP persons, the importance of programs and services to LEP persons, and the resources available and overall cost of providing languages services. The limited English proficiency plan also includes a safe harbor stipulation, and a safe harbor means that as long as the MPO has created a plan for the provision of written translation under a specific set of circumstances, such actions will be considered a strong evidence of compliance with written translations obligations under Title VI. Any future update to this LEP plan shall include the reassessment of the four-factor analysis, the documentation of the number of LEP persons encountered annually, the documentation of complaints received from LEP populations, and the general assessment of how the needs of LEP persons have been addressed. In order to update both the limited English proficiency plan and the Title VI program, we have discussed with KDOT and the Federal Highway Administration to present these final documents. We presented these documents to the TAG on June 27th, and we are now presenting it to the TPB for final approval. Once both the Title VI program and the LEP plan are approved, we will be implementing them. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora and Marcella. So these are our action options. We can, or you can, approve the documents as proposed, not approve them, or approve them with specific changes. And the TAC recommended approving them as proposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions over the plan? I appreciate all the work staff went to provide this and update the TPB. I move that we approve the Title VI program and limited English proficiency plan as proposed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? And Jack Heslop seconded that. Any questions? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ashley, and all the staff for working on that.
Thank you.
Next item is an update on the Intelligence Transportation System, Transportation Systems Management and Operations. And Ashley, I think you're still on.
I am, yes, thank you. The Intelligent Transportation Systems, ITS, and the Transportation Systems Management Operations, TSMO, are both very long words that are really about improving the flow of traffic to reduce congestion. And they use a variety of strategies which help us meet our goals in the MTP. So now Tom will talk about which way, and then Alicia will show a few maps. Thank you.
Afternoon, Tom.
Thank you. I'm Tom Hine with the Kansas Department of Transportation. I serve as the Public Affairs Manager for Wichita Metro and also the manager for the Traffic Management Center for Whichway. So we will look at what that is and actually explain a little bit that ITS is the Intelligent Transportation System, and it involves the cameras, the sensors out on the roadway, the message boards, the website. It's just the whole package of Whichway. We began in, of course, the architecture for ITS in Wichita began in 1998, I believe. So this goes way back. And then finally, we were able to finally get the funding to do an initial project in 2009. We just put out 6 temporary cameras and 6 signs. We built within the TMC within the Sedgwick County 911 system. So we are co-located with the 911 people down the street on Main Street. So that test project kind of gave us an idea to learn about the software and get our feet wet in how this operation would go. Then phase 1, we deployed in 2011. We put in 28 cameras and 21 signs, and we keep building from there. Every year a little bit more, it seems like. Right now we're at 84 cameras, 43 signs, large signs. Plus we use a lot of portable signs, especially for construction projects or maintenance activities that occur. And then we use cameras from other sources, the Kansas Turnpike Authority, the City of Derby, City of Wichita, Kansas Turnpike Authority, did I say that already? So we use a lot of different cameras and incorporate those into the website to share those with the public. Our traffic management center is now 24/7 in Wichita. And because of that, we've taken over administration of the statewide ITS system. Other than that, in Kansas City Metro has KC Scout, which covers both the Missouri side and the Kansas side of Kansas City Metro. But the operation here in Wichita, because we're now 24/7, we do statewide signs. So during a snowstorm, we've got someone covering all the time, and in fact, all the time. I mean, somebody's doing it from midnight to 9. I know that shift sounds awful, but we have people that will do that. So all the signs are posted whenever there's a need for that, and cameras are monitored as best they can, especially during that dark time. We don't always can't always see traffic. Here's what we've got in Wichita right now for coverage. As you can see, it's pretty widespread on the high volume roads that we have, and like I said, we continue to build out from that. You can go in and create your own CanDrive account. It's very simple to set up, and that way every time you open Which Way, it opens to the features that you want to see, and you can do that on the statewide CanDrive system or on the Which Way operation. There are a lot of layers in there, and initially when you first come into the website, you're going to be overwhelmed by all those layers, and you just need to start clicking those off to get to the point where you want to be. And that's the advantage of creating your own account, so that your computer knows, or your phone knows, that these are the layers that you want to come up as your default. So we use Which Way and CanDrive in a lot of different ways. Here's an example of construction. This is on K96 on the east side of town. And you can see that just by dropping a lane creates congestion. That's in the middle of the day. We also use it, of course, for snow events. This was also on K96 from the Oliver camera. This was a snowy morning in February, and lots of problems occurred with this one. It's not a very good picture, but it shows you that's at 6 a.m. I believe. You know, it's still dark, still icy, and we had a lot of problems out there that day. Some days it's normal, and that's what you want to see on Which Way. You want to see the traffic is flowing. It looks very crowded from the cameras, but generally that traffic is moving at a pretty good pace. And when you're in that traffic, you don't realize there are this many of your neighbors out there with you, but that's what it looks like from the cameras. And you can take a look at Which Way, and we try to get people to do that before they go on their journey in Wichita, so that they know if there's a problem somewhere, because oftentimes there are. This was a couple of weeks ago, a little bit of a rainstorm on the east side of town, and this is in the Webb and Rock Road area. And so by checking the camera, you could see that the westbound Kellogg traffic, there's a problem in lane that's we call it lane 1. It's next to the center of the highway. So you can see that is generally the fast lane, but it isn't today. You can see that 2 lanes of traffic are backed up. You can see a message board back behind that has that message on there. And if you look over to the left, you'll see that the frontage road is jam-packed with people as well. So just a little event like that creates this. This is about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, just a brief rainstorm, and that makes it slick, and you know how fast some people drive on Kellogg. Westbound Kellogg coming out of downtown and out towards the west side, that is almost a daily occurrence for us. So it's good to check Which Way before, if you live out west. If you leave any time between 3:30 and 5:30, you could see this. And this one kind of was a messy one, to where they had to close Kellogg completely. And then this is the backup that creates. So you can also check those cameras back from these events to see what you're getting into and what you need to avoid. So afternoon incidents for May of 2022, 70% are crashes that we deal with, and then disabled vehicles. So really it's all about the crashes. And part of our transportation system and management and operation TSMO plan is to clear those accidents faster. And we work with PD and Highway Patrol and the fire department and EMS and other first responders to clear those incidents as quickly as possible, and to only shut down the lanes they need for the operation and the safety of those first responders out there. We try to get them open as fast as possible because every minute that it stays closed or restricted, we tend to see more secondary accidents, and that's really those can really be bad too. Events by highway, no surprises here. US 54 is the number one, and 135 sees the second group. So the goals for Which Way are to enhance the situation so that the people can possibly have safer travels. We can't guarantee safety, but we can certainly provide that information so that people can pick and choose their route and possibly have a safer arrival. We want to increase the efficiency of the current infrastructure, and we do that through telling people where the problems are. Everybody knows on northbound 135 between 4 and 6, it's going to be a bottleneck up at the North Junction. Well, that's going to get better, but right now, you know, by providing information to drivers and letting them know if there's an incident up there, they can maybe choose a different route. So that increases the efficiency of the current infrastructure that we have. We also want to provide a more reliable transportation system across Wichita and across the state for freight, for commuters, for travelers. Noble goals. So what's the return on investment? In Wichita, we found it to be 12 to 1. We did a cost benefit analysis in 2015, and we used a federal formula, and we put our numbers in very conservatively because we didn't want a big inflated cost benefit that didn't seem real. So 12 to 1 is what we see as far as spending on ITS. So we have some future Which Way improvements coming. Eastbound K96, where it meets up with US 54, Kellogg, has a sharp curve as that transition occurs. And we have a lot of trucks that have turned over in the past because they're going 65, they come into that curve and it's down to 30 miles an hour on that curve, and maybe they just didn't pay attention. So their truck overturns, and then we've got a full day of a closure there between the cleanup and getting the highway back to normal. So it's very inconvenient for people. So we installed this system where we have dual sensors. The sensors will say, okay, here comes a truck, and here comes a truck that's going too fast. And it automatically lights this message board that reminds them, hey, reduce your speed. You're coming into this curve. And it's been successful. So we've only been operating a couple of months so far, but we've seen some instances where the trucks are really coming in hard, and they get the sign, and all of a sudden they're braking and get through the curve okay. And if you've driven that curve, you know it's pretty sharp as you go through it. Website improvements also, as you heard the presentation on limited English proficiency, we are trying to incorporate some of those features into our website with symbols. So it's not all text. We are looking at a construction weekly digest that you can subscribe to and receive a report on any area you choose in Kansas, including Wichita. And as you see on the diagram on the right, 73% of our users are doing it on their phone. So we are moving to an app. We have had a website that adjusts to a smartphone and looks like an app, but it's not an app. So we are moving to an app just because we have so much use on phones. Hopefully not while they're driving. Any questions for me? This is an incident that you don't want to be involved in, so check which way before you go out on the highways. Any questions?
Well, thank you, Tom. Does anyone have any questions at all? Well, we look forward to it. Please let us get an app and put it on our phone. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation, Tom. My name is Alicia Hunter. I'm a senior transportation planner with WAMPO. And so with support from KDOT, WAMPO staff has created ITS equipment maps, one for the camera locations and then one for the dynamic messaging signs. So WAMPO is going to use these maps to visually communicate and inform the public on the ITS equipment. These maps can be used in a variety of ways, such as posted on the WAMPO website, incorporated into meeting presentations, or printed for informational material. These maps are presently the most current setup for the ITS equipment in the region, and so WAMPO staff is going to continue to coordinate with Tom and KDOT to update these as needed. And so that's all I have for you today. Short and sweet. Thank you.
Anything else on intelligent transportation system? Okay. Go to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and second for Tom Jones. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item is a discussion of economic development. This is a continuation of discussions that we've had over the past several months. Today we've got Park City and Valley Center. Park City, John Fox.
He thought that was short and sweet. This will be even shorter. Chairman, members, good afternoon. My name is Sean Fox. As Chad had mentioned, I'll come up here. As Chad had mentioned, it has been only about 11 short months since I was last up here presenting on behalf of the city. And now we're supposed to be given an update on economic development. They're one and the same. We're not that big of a staff. So I will cover some of the same topics as I did last time, just glossing over them and then getting into a little bit more depth on some things that have changed. So who's driving for me? Or I can drive myself. Got it. Cool. Thank you very much. As I said almost a year ago, Park City started off from very humble beginnings. It's relatively short but rich history. It started as an improvement district just back in 1953. Is that too loud? Or am I too loud?
Just trying to get it.
Okay. Too tall? I'll shrink down. There we go. As it stands today after the 2020 census, the population is right at 8,300 people, 11% growth over the last 10 years. There's the household median income, the home values, the age, and we're still currently at 9.8 square miles. What I talked about also was a past philosophy that Park City was very proud of its scrappy type attitude. They wanted to be known for quicker response and less regulations, and they still want that today, very much so. They promoted much of the economic growth that the city has enjoyed by extensive use of industrial revenue bonds. And again, that still has not changed. What has changed though is now, rather than just taking anybody to the prom, we're getting a little bit more selective. So we're still very free with our economic or industrial revenue bonds, but now we're putting some design limitations on top of that, asking them to make some improvements rather than just building an industrial plant, kind of dress it up a little bit. So these were the big 3 ticket items that we had going on just over a year ago: Amazon facility, Crosswinds Casino, as well as Pratt Industries. All 3 of those are complete. The one in the lower center, that's the new Quick Shop that is also located at Echo Hills, which is off of 53rd and 135. We continue to work on our residential growth. We have 9 active residential neighborhoods. Offering somewhat diversity in housing. We can always do a little bit better. We have one addition that's getting ready to start here towards the end of the month, which is Bar Estates, which is off of 53rd in between Hydraulic and Hillside, and it's going to be more of a duplex community, expecting about 152 new homes there. We currently have an RFP process out looking for a team to help us with the development of a parks master plan, because we'd like to enhance the parkland that we have, acquire some more, and then implement our connectivity plan. When I mentioned this a year ago, there was not really much happening with Echo Hills. We had Atwoods, the new Quick Shop, Arby's, and then there was a talk of apartment complex. This is probably what I will focus on most today as far as economic development, because this is going to have a major impact to not only Park City, but to the region, to Sedgwick County. Right now, the vast land that is undeveloped is under contract with a single developer, and they have approached the city to create a regional multi-sport recreational destination. And when I say destination, yes, that is something that would qualify for the STAR bonds. They've already been in touch with the Commerce Department up at the state. So far, the reviews are very favorable, and they are in the middle of a feasibility study to prove proof of concept. This park, although it is still in the early stages and I can't get into much of it, it will involve baseball and softball fields. It will involve an indoor track and field facility, something that's a little bit unusual for this part of the country, a mixed martial arts and wellness facility, 2 hotels, 5,500 square foot entertainment anchor, a 40,000 square foot retail anchor, and then more than 20,000 square foot in quick serve restaurants and fast casual dining. It's going to be a destination for people to come. That they expect somewhere between 3,500 and 4,000 people on a weekend basis coming to Sedgwick County. And I say Sedgwick County, not just Park City. The 2 red stars on there I highlighted because I think that's where WAMPO has a play in this. Right at the same time that all this process was coming around, we were under a contract with the help of KDOT and Transsystem to do a traffic engineer assessment program, TEAP study. And it was for the whole entire corridor of 61st Street as well as 53rd Street. 2 of the major things that they recognized or recommended, and this was all prior to this development, this is just off the expectation of what Echo Hills is now and what it can be, was first of all improvements to 61st Street. There's it blown up a little bit more. What they have recommended is a 5-legged roundabout on the west side of Interstate 135. They looked at the east side, but that's a little bit too congested with our Quick Shop and Cracker Barrel and Spangles and everything. One doesn't fit there, but they believe that this would make a much more efficient, safer improvement area as far as Echo Hills. And then the second one is they are recommending a divergent diamond, which is relatively new in South Central Kansas, to go up under 53rd and Interstate 135. So both of those programs are things that we will be submitting for consideration, both with KDOT as far as their economic development program and as well as WAMPO. Other than that, we can still continue to work on our infrastructure. Most of these projects, the top center one is our proposed 61st and Broadway. It's a WAMPO sponsored project. It is currently under contract right now, under construction, should be completed by November. The lower left-hand corner was the one that we partnered with KDOT as well as Sedgwick County and Valley Center for an economic development. That was the roundabout at 77th and Broadway. Park City's portion of that is complete, and now it's been handed off to to Valley Center, I should say, to where they're making improvements to Ford Street all the way to Seneca, is it, and beyond? Yes. The bridge at 61st Street is complete. The bottom left-hand corner is the new lift station that we have at 53rd Street, which will allow future growth and development east of our existing city limits. So a lot of good things are happening. The other one that we still have on the books is our downtown district. As many of you know, that Park City, because it is such a young city, we don't have a defined downtown district. So we put out an RFP last year and selected a firm that we have partnered with to develop the 48 acres that's directly adjacent to our city administration center. We worked with Confluence over the last couple of years to come up with a master plan, and now we have a development team that is working with us to make it come to fruition. So a lot of work in progress. We're not there yet, but we're getting close. So Commissioner, that's all I have unless there's any questions.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the transportation plays a big role in economic development. We appreciate what you're doing there as far as our entire community. Do we have any questions? Saying nothing. Thank you, Sean. Yes, I appreciate it. Thanks for the update. Next up, we have Brent Clark from Valley Center. Welcome back.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are we doing? Good. Hey, there we go. All right, just like our lovely neighbors to the east in Park City, we have a tremendous amount of activity happening on the north side of the county. And not sure if you've heard about some of this here recently, but some of that is kind of redundancy of what we presented, I think like Sean, 11 months, maybe even less than that ago. But, you know, Valley Center from kind of does anybody know what this means? The NIMBY, not in my backyard. Has anybody heard that before? Well, that's what Valley Center kind of used to be, to a rising regional rock star. Of course, here's our regional commuting patterns that you're all aware here at WAMPO. Got to always do a quick plug here. Actually, Thursday, between 11 and 5, it will be the grand opening and ribbon cutting for our Builders First Source. we were able to poach them from City of Wichita, so I'm sorry for that, but we were able to have them locate next to their trust plant and facility that was already existing in Valley Center and repurpose an old grocery store that we have in our community and add about 25 new jobs and about a $5 million investment as far as the grounds and everything. So from 11 to 5 on Thursday, you can come up to Valley Center and get fed between 11 and 1. And then the first 500 get a free t-shirt. You know, on the north side, we like to give away free t-shirts like the blood drive. Our recent planning efforts, we did just recently complete a strategic planning process with RDG out of Omaha. Also, too, thanks to WAMPO, we were able to update and have a new pedestrian and bicycle master plan. We do look at exciting times of applying for grants and partnering with WAMPO in the future with getting some funds for those things. Some of the upcoming things that I'll talk about here will be the street improvement projects, infrastructure, residential developments, and quality of place. Like Sean had mentioned, this is our joint project actually between KDOT, Sedgwick County, Park City, and ourselves. And so from the roundabout there, now that Sean's all done in Park City, we're moving west into Valley Center, all the way to the flood control project. It does include a realignment of Seneca Street. And so Seneca Street used to be kind of in the county, and I had one of those jog overs on the quarter section line. So we're realigning that for safety purposes and adding a lot of different lanes to that area. That is actually getting started this week. Monday is when that started. So we're also doing a water line project along there as well. So we wouldn't be able to do this without the county support. So really appreciate the commissioners and their support, especially Commissioner Cruz. Also, thanks to WAMPO, we're able to do, or going to be doing our Meridian Street projects. This will be from, this section is Main to 5th Street, complete redo, a lot of it with drainage. We don't have any stormwater drainage in this area. So from Main to 5th Street, we'll do a streetscape, as well as some decorative lighting and some of those fun things. Also on 69th Street, partnering with the county again on doing a potential roundabout on 69th Street and Meridian. This will also go all the way through basically from our south city limits all the way north to the train tracks. So if you're familiar with Valley Center at all. And also this will realign Ford Street and the entrance to Builders First Source. So I just talked about with that project, this will make that a safer entrance for all the truck traffic. I did forget to mention on Ford Street, due to oil prices kind of being a little high, I don't know if anybody's seen that, but we were able to actually turn that into a concrete section. So for about $471,000 more, the mayor and council, thanks to Councilmember Colbert, we were able to actually upgrade and have a concrete road all the way then from the roundabout into the community all the way to Meridian will actually be a concrete corridor for us. So hoping for a lot of development off of that. But this section of Meridian will go out for bid here and lighting in May or June of 23. Seneca improvements, and so kind of where that red line ends there on the top, that will be a part of the Ford Street project. And then we were just awarded $1 million for the cost share, thanks to KDOT once again. And so we'll continue Seneca Street from that point then to north to 85th Street or 5th Street, depending upon which one you want to say. This will also include a lot of right turn lanes. We have 3 new subdivisions off of this road alone, as well as thanks to the county once again, we have a TIF district. So about $110 million investment in our TIF district that will also be off of Seneca Street that I'll talk about here shortly. We did apply for the request for open projects. This is actually a new project. We're looking for funding sources still. So of course, we'll be looking at the infrastructure grant and projects. This will be turning Meridian by the intermediate school north into a 4-lane road versus a 2-lane currently. It includes 2 roundabouts, one by the intermediate school and middle school, and then one by Southwind at the middle school. And then it'll kind of lead out north to 93rd Street. And there's a new development that I'll get to here shortly. That's
That's down there on your bottom of your screen. Infrastructure improvements, we are pushing forward, and we actually have our RFP almost ready to go to solicit for our water plant design. So we will be constructing our own water treatment plant. We have plenty of groundwater rights, and so we plan to capitalize on that and still have, of course, Wichita as a supplemental for our water supply. Infrastructure improvement projects continuing here with our water tower. So there's kind of a, I don't know, it's a kind of a minimal design, I think, you know, kind of quiet. That is currently underway as we speak. When I left, they were putting on some little template designs that they were putting little dots. So they put tiny little pink or tiny little black dots on where they're going to paint first, and they're really microscopic. I mean, you got to know where you're looking at, and then they will paint that design on the water tower. So we're really looking forward to this being kind of one of those eye-catching masterpieces in Valley Center. Brick Mob was the one who actually won the design on this. We had a design contest and had a top 3 for the community to vote on, and the community voted this as the #1 vote getter. So it'll be exciting to see that coming up. And you know, there always will be tricks, and so we got some other tricks up our sleeves when it comes to the water tower itself. So stay tuned. We also are doing a little crazy venture. I'm sure folks that have been around the region for a while, you know, back in the early 2000s, 2004, I think, Wichita had looked at potentially municipalizing their electrical system. And so we are going to actually explore municipalizing our electrical system and purchase the entire distribution system from Evergy. So here's kind of a sample of the utility billing flyer that went out right after the council decided on January 19th to give Evergy the notice that we are going to renew our franchise for a 1-year period. And so we are actually right now in the middle of our feasibility study. The community did hire New Gen Strategies and Solutions to help us in that endeavor. We have a public power committee, so a subcommittee. So if you're ever bored or want to fall asleep in the middle of the night, go onto our website and our YouTube channel, and you can watch all the committee meetings when it comes to public power. This will be a great benefit to the community, and we're hoping to kind of pave the way for all of our neighboring communities as well, that this is an option when it comes to your power supply and your power options. That there's an easy way in Kansas. Kansas state statute lays it out really nicely, actually, to municipalize your own electrical system. And so we plan to do that. Residential development, this one is Cedar Ridge Estates. It's kind of the higher end, $500,000 to $2 million or $2 million range, 27 lot. That just got started this week. Arbor Valley, or this says Hidden Valley. It's actually Arbor Valley now, 64 lots. That one's going out for bid next week. That one's off of Ford Street. This is our TIF district, 282 lots plus commercial and a reserve area. So it includes a 62-acre park. That will be a new regional kind of detention area. I want to thank, of course, again, Central County for partnering along with the city of Wichita and figuring out the drainage situation there when it comes to the ditch on the West Chisholm Trail. Also, too, this will be a wonderful opportunity to connect our regional trail system in this area to our neighboring communities in Park City, Bel Air, and Keachai. I don't know if you saw last week, but we did have a little announcement, something that will be a first, definitely in Kansas, and actually the first in the U.S. when it comes to a multifamily 3D printed subdivision. This will be the first 3D printed housing development in Kansas, and then the first multifamily 3D printed subdivision in the U.S. They're looking at about 156 units on our Ford Street area, and we are moving right along. We met with the folks for the first time on Friday the 13th. I'll never forget that day, right before Chamber Golf outing, and now we will be hopefully having the final plat and all the construction documents on the street by September 6th of this year. Construction will start in November, so that's exciting. Also, too, in between our high school and middle school on Meridian Street, this is part of that concept that I showed you to turn the 4-lane or turn the 2-lane road on Meridian Street into a 4-lane road. And this would then be adjacent to this new development that has about 222 single-family lots, about 40 duplex lots. And then the Reserve A is where we're going to potentially move our recreation aquatic complex and our new potential city buildings. Quality of place, here's what I just mentioned with the Recreation Aquatic Center. This too has its own separate subcommittee. So again, if you're bored, all of our meetings are on YouTube, so you can watch us in full transparency, address questions, and interact with the public. Also too, did want to mention on the quality of place, one of the primary goals in Valley Center is to reduce the monthly bills and the burden that we put on all of our taxpayers. Our residents, they work hard for their money just like all of us do. And we want them to be able to enjoy it. And so that's why we're taking on Evergy. That's why we're building our own water treatment plant. And that's why we're paying off our debt on the sewer plant early. It's to make sure that there's more money in the end of the month in every one of our residents' pockets, so they can spend it in Wichita and Valley Center and Park City and all these wonderful places. So the mayor and council are very active, making sure that quality of life is a key component in any decision that we're making. I'll stay in for any questions.
Well, thank you, Brent. I saw on TV the other day where you were doing the 3D printing of the homes.
We just mow it.
Price of those compared with the price of a stick-built home?
They're still coming up with the figures. It kind of depends upon which printer gets here first. And so the company we're working with actually bought a printer from overseas in Denmark, and that's stuck somewhere on the ocean on a barge. And so they actually found another one in Pennsylvania that will hopefully be here in, I think, August or September. And so depending upon which printer they get, actually will adjust that total overall cost. But CC3D will have more information when the time comes for specific questions when it comes to the price per square foot and all those things. But all of the duplexes and those 3D printed, there'll be, of course, patio homes, but then also be carriage homes, 2-story with the garage underneath. And every single unit will be 3-bedroom, 2-bath. There'll be about 1,100 square feet, 1,100 to 1,200 square feet units. So these aren't small structures. They are going to be rentals because the first 5 years or so, they want to hold on to them in case there's any issues structurally or any of those things. So they don't want to, put up a bunch of single family homes of 3D printed and then have a bunch of issues with the structures themselves. So.
Good. Well, thank you. And once again, you can see from your briefing that without transportation and getting the roads in that you need, right?
Absolutely.
You'll be having some problems with your economic development. So we appreciate it. Any questions for Brent?
I just want to echo your comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you. And then also this series of presentations is strengthening the collaboration between each of our communities on strengthening collaboration and WAMPO. I also want to recognize our partners, Federal Highway Administration, Rick Backlund, and KDOT, Mike Moriarty, and from KDOT, Matt Messina. So our partnership and federal and state partnerships, how WAMPO staff is so love to see all you interacting and in these meetings and take the opportunity to say hello to folks from Topeka as well. So thank you again.
And without the funding, we've received over $11 million in the last few years of funding assistance, and without those, none of this development would be happening. So thank you to all the partners involved, and we really could not do it without you. So thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. And I appreciate both Brent and Sean for coming and briefing again today, because I think this is an important discussion so that we know exactly what we're doing that's impacting the community by providing transportation. Okay. This item we'll go to is the committee and partnership updates. And the first item is executive committee. Last month, I discussed the new rules and the policy that we put together for how we're going to conduct a executive committee meetings. As a result of that, I did not get any feedback that anyone had a problem with the way that we're going to move forward with the executive committee. We originally had an executive committee meeting set up for August the 4th, but we also have a regional meeting for 2 days during that period. So I worked with WAMPO, and the next executive committee meeting will be scheduled on August the 11th, starting at 11:15. WAMPO staff will get out the information for all of the community so that they'll know that we do have an open meeting, so that they can join remotely if they'd like to, or here in the room where we'll conduct the meeting. So again, we did not have one, but one is coming up in the near future, and everyone is invited to it. So it is an open meeting. Next item, first of all, any questions on executive committee? See none. Next item is active transportation, and Alan's in the room, so we'll see if he's got any discussion.
Really, all I've got is that our next meeting is September 1 at 9:30, and hope to get anybody that's interested in that at that meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it. Next item is KDOT Metro. So Tom, you're back on.
All right. Well, there's good progress at the North Junction. If you drive through that area, you'll see bridge work taking place, and that has caused some traffic interruptions, we'll say. We have had some weekend closures and daytime closures of ramps at the North Junction so that they can erect those bridge beams in a safe way over traffic. They don't want to do it over cars, so they shut it down for that period where they're hefting up those bridge beams, and we'll see that this coming weekend. And then the weekend after that, there'll be another Saturday closure for a different project, which is repairing guardrail at the North Junction. So that will be a Saturday closure. Those closures happen quite a bit, sometimes 9 to 3 on a weekday and sometimes a weekend. So I put out a report every week, and you can contact me to get that report if you'd like it emailed to you.
Hey, Tom, appreciate it. I probably should have known, but Saturday night I had an event over on the east side. I try not to go to the east side very often, but was over there. And when I came back, I discovered really quickly that I couldn't get over to the west side. So I got to go up north and visit our folks up there, and came across on 53rd Street. So I appreciate the update. Push the button, please, Tom.
There's an impact on a northbound lane getting off on 53rd Street on 135, and it's back down to where the construction site is. People trying to get off and turn around and go back south. So because the exits are closed, there's no traffic lights or anything. You're at the mercy of how long it takes you to sit there. So we'd like some help with that if we could when you decide to shut it down. Okay.
Very good. Any questions for Tom? Seeing none, we'll go to KDOT, and Mike, you're on.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Chad was nice enough to cover my update here today. I wanted to remind everybody to be at the Infrastructure Summit tomorrow, so hope to see you there tomorrow at the Metro Complex. Also, we've had a lot of recent new hires in planning at KDOT, and I think next month I'll plan on a quick rundown of some of our new folks, if that's all right. That concludes my report.
Any questions? Seeing none. And Rick, we're very happy to see you in person today.
Oh, okay, now can you hear me? Okay, it's great to be back, and I'm actually going to be here through Thursday, also attending the Infrastructure Summit. I'm not sure if this got mentioned in the remarks earlier, but we do have folks, we have a spokesperson from the White House Office of Infrastructure who's going to be providing remarks, as well as our Secretary's office. And so it looks to be good and engaging. A couple of other things. Last week I sent out, and I copied Chad on this, we have a new app, new program called DOT Navigator, which helps folks that are looking to apply for grants under bill. It stratifies it based on type of entity. So it's very helpful. So just wanted to encourage that if you haven't seen that, please, there's a lot out there, a lot of opportunities coming up with this unprecedented level of funding. Last week, I do want to call attention to, there is a I think a grant that's especially pertinent, reconnecting communities from previous transportation projects. This is a first of its kind type of grant that we've ever funded. It is out there, and I just sent an email this afternoon. There's going to be virtual training on how to apply for the grant on Thursday this week. I know it's quick, but at least it's available. And the grant will be open until October. Also did want to mention that I'm not sure folks are aware, but the Kansas LTAP Center is also doing virtual training on the federal aid process. So far, over 80 entities in Kansas, I believe that number's higher now, have taken advantage of that. So that's available. And I would say, frankly, we're one of the few areas in the country that's offering that to try to help localities when they're considering applying for bill grants, have a better sense of the federal aid process. Other than that, on our end, we're going to be advertising for a new position of discretionary grant specialist probably in the next few months to help, in this area as well. So, but anyway, it's good to be here, and I'm sure I'll see folks over the next few days. So, thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any questions for Rick? Seeing none. Is there any other business that needs to come before the board today? Seeing nothing, we do not have an executive session today. And so any other business need to come before us? Seeing nothing, we're adjourned. Thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it.